Is it ever going to end? What do you think? As we look to U.S. equities, you mentioned kind of late cycle. We can talk about gold, Bitcoin too. A lot of stuff um, has hit new highs. What about any of those as you think about?
The sort of macro investor in me looks at this and says, yeah, it looks like pretty, in some ways, quite boring when it comes to like a late cycle environment, very, very normal. And what I mean by normal is like, basically every late cycle, the way it works is that there's hopped up expectations of what's going to transpire. And usually there's some bubble or some narrative or something that is, that's going to separate. This is the moment where, markets are not going to fall back to earth from a narrative perspective. And so that creates very elevated expectations just at a time when, usually some combination of Fed tightening, or maybe there's another effect in the market. In this case, it would be, federal government negative growth policies creates a slowing of growth. And then there's just a gap between, high expectations and weaker economic conditions. And eventually those things close. And of course, people talk about, well, bubbles can persist, for a period of time or longer than you can stay solvent. But what I'd say, if you go back, I actually wrote about this recently on my Substack, if you just go back and look at all the different cycles, the economy cannot weaken without asset prices weakening, particularly stocks weaken, for that long. Like that divergence does not exist. It can exist for 6 months, it can exist for 9 months, maybe 12 months. But by and large, you don't see those two pieces diverge for long. Often you can see the bubble keeping growth up for an extended period of time where valuations aren't that valuable, but aren't a valuable indicator, negative indicator. But once the real economy starts to slow, like markets will follow the real economy over time. Like markets are meaningfully driven, primarily driven by the real economy, and cannot diverge from the real economy for, all that long.